Nooner. Sorry it's late, but video took priority and it knocked my day completely off hilter, whatever it is. But here I am. I just did a little pre-nooner before. Oh my God, I just rookied it too. My God, I can hear myself. Stop. Yeah, so I just did a pre-nooner on Patreon, which I'm going to start doing. So but prior to these starting, I'm going to jump on Patreon for a half an hour and talk to the patrons. And we had a nice little chat. And I'm going to be going over the super chats from last night that we didn't have time to get to. And there's also an article I didn't have time to get to that I would like to go over, which is about The Hunt and Watchmen and the marketing for both of those, and the fact that they're both written by Damon Lindelof. So I'm guessing that The Hunt will be similar to Watchmen and vice versa. So greetings. Hail, Josh and Rebecca Moname. How are you? Thundercats Ho. Taupe Daddy, how are you? Dragon Majesty, just saw you in the Patreon chat. Matt Joseph, we want to congratulate on getting his theater in Ohio. That's cool as hell. Teresa Martin, Halam 899. Chris, boy, how am I going to say your last name there, Chris? Well, I'll just say hi, Chris. And Cracklin, Jason Adams, greetings, everybody. So we'll start off with the super chats, and then we'll get to the news and the article. And of course, we're going to talk about Star Wars because that's still in the news. They dropped the footage pretty early this morning, and I don't know. I didn't expect them to drop it that early, but that's what they did. I'm surprised they didn't drop it last night, but I guess they wanted to wait for D23 to be over. And yeah, I thought, you saw what I thought in the video, and I thought it was pretty awful that they mixed it in with original trilogy stuff, and it really shows how much it just sticks out and doesn't belong with Star Wars, even with the prequel stuff. It's just too busy. It's too JJ. Even Rian Johnson's Last Jedi, the effects look very J.J. Abrams. I'm wondering if it was just a lot of the same people. It probably was. But what's clearly happening here with the Star Wars fandom is I almost titled this live stream, Welcome to the Fandom Menace, because there's a lot of people who are just done. And it's for a lot of reasons. It's very similar to Doctor Who. It's very similar to Star Trek. There's people who are alienated by the agenda. There's people who just don't like the quality of it. And yes, it still has its fans. That's fine. You can like whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Just don't give me crap for not liking what you like, because I'm sure we disagree on a lot of things. It's fine. I don't care. But yeah, I think the Fandom Menace gained a few members over the weekend, and I don't think Disney was planning on that. I think they were planning on it being just all Star Wars all the time and all positive. Now, Robert Meyer Burnett on his live stream pointed out something that completely went by me, but I was assuming that The Mandalorian, when it drops on Disney Plus, excuse me, was just going to be a binge model, dropped all at once. But according to Robert Meyer Burnett, they're going to release it weekly, which means The Mandalorian will be directly competing with Rise of Skywalker, which is going to be pretty interesting. So yeah, it's going to be very Star Wars heavy here in a couple months, and it's just a couple short months away. It premieres in November, and a lot of the TV stuff is going to start ramping up again, which is good because I can cover TV shows again, which is kind of my bread and butter here. Star Wars ends with 9. Yes, it ends. MacBox. That's a good point. They're not moving the story forward. As I said in my video, they're going to circle the wagons, regroup. But I don't think they're going to be pushing any story forward for the time being, just like they were doing in Star Trek for a while. And then they finally decided to break out Picard, which I don't know. I mean, it's going to technically be moving the story forward. I don't know how much. I think it'll regress Star Trek, but hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one. But let's get to a couple of these super chats here. Get over there, and we're going to share. We'll share the screen. They're worthy of being shared. Sharing is caring. All righty. So we left off. I honestly we didn't have as much as I thought left over, which is good and bad because we probably could have rushed through these. But let me get to, or maybe I was wrong on that one. Cardinal Sin was the last one. I had it all set up. Damn it! So there we go. Okay, so we'll start out with Cardinal Sin for $2. Want to bet they're going to reboot a woke Iron Man? Yes, they're going to bring in Riri. I don't think that's any secret. Well, at least they're going to intend to. We're going to have to see how the Phase 4 is going to play out. I heard a decent theory that I would love to believe, that they just kind of see Marvel Phase 4 as a throwaway, that they're going to try to get all the SJW politics in one phase, and hopefully they can survive it and then move back to the normal MCU. God, I would love that, but we know that's not going to be true. Riri Williams will show up at some point. The only thing maybe holding that back is it's going to be very expensive. Again, I was watching a Robert Meyer Burnett live stream earlier. He likes to talk about verisimilitude, believability, and he was talking about Star Wars, and the first 2 Star Wars films had perfect verisimilitude, and I totally agree. And Return of the Jedi did not, which I totally agree with. And that's what Endgame was lacking as well for me. That's the biggest problem I had with Endgame is it's become so CG, and you can tell they're not wearing, most of the characters aren't wearing their costumes anymore. And now that's in the back of my mind, it kind of takes away from some of my enjoyment. So Riri Williams would be a very expensive green screen shot. It would have to be a movie. I don't know how they could do that with a TV show, and people just wouldn't go. People wouldn't watch. Maybe if they do Ironheart, I don't know. I still wouldn't care and wouldn't watch it. Have no desire. Silent Poet 75 for $2. If it was a joke on Friday when you were talking about the thing, so he was referring to Doomcock. We were talking about the things having a rock Johnson. Yes, so you'd have to go back to Friday Night Tights, which is on the channel. You can go check it out. Cardinal Sin for $2. Lick that like button, please. Fandom Menace. And you can do that here too. Thank you very much. And a lot of people who watch are not subscribers. Please consider subscribing, hitting the bell. It's a little click. I'm not that annoying. I don't put out multiple videos a day, although I love the channels that do. I just don't have time. But I love the channels that do like 4 videos a day right at the same time. I think Tim Pool does that. The Quartering does that. And those are good channels. Tim Pool had a Star Wars video today. That was interesting. But it seems like everybody did. Thank you again, Cardinal Sin, again for $2. The new Star Wars isn't for 40-year-old white dudes. No, it's not. It really, they're trying to make it like that. They all of a sudden remembered, although I'm not a 40-year-old white dude anymore. I'm a 50-year-old white dude. So it really isn't made for me. But I was thinking back to when I saw Star Wars for the first time, and it's fragmented my memory because I was 7 when I saw it. But the one thing that distinctly sits in my mind is, and something that the young people out there, it's hard to describe, but when the film opens and the Star Destroyer flies over, people gasped in the theater. People had never seen anything like that before. And I don't know if you can ever get that in a movie anymore. I don't know if that'll ever happen. That just people, it was just, yeah. And it was mind blowing. Now it's so easy to do everything. But it makes things worse. So, if there's a filmmaker who gives a rat's ass what us fans think, try to shoot on location as much as you can. Try to make as much real as you can, because that is one of the biggest differences in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Is The Lord of the Rings has the Uruk-hai and the orcs in costumes, has the goblins in costumes. They used as much practical effects as they could because they had to. And then they made the orcs, pretty much completely different for The Hobbit. And there was a lot of reasons for that. Partially, part of it was the coloring. And listen, the orcs, you could say that they probably were originally, that's what they were originally supposed to look like, and they just couldn't do it. But I hated the orcs in The Hobbit. They were all CG, and I would have rather have seen a mix. Little Poet Boy for $2.99. Shame no female Ghost Rider. Alejandra Jones. Well, they had they had the female Ghost Rider. They'll do it, or they might. I mean, sure. Why not? We still don't know. I'm guessing the Mandalorian is a male, but we don't know. They're supposed to be a surprise. We'll find out. They'll just female swap. And I'm just assuming they're going to female and gender race swap everything right now. Valentine's Tube for $2. Hashtag without respect, we reject. Hashtag not my 80s Disney. Love Doomcock. Yes, Doomcock's awesome. All hail Doomcock. It was a really good Inquisition last night, folks. One of our better shows. Doomcock was on fire. So check it out. It's staying on the channel. This one will be moved to Nerdrotic Live when it's done. Cardinal Sin for $2. I want a Justice for Anas shirt. Who's with me? I have to still talk to Anas Abdeen about that because I don't want to mass produce anything with his name on it without A, him getting a cut, and B, making sure it's okay. Because I don't know if it would affect his lawsuit. Because the shirt I had made for me, it was just one that our good friends at the Popcast made for me. Thanks. And they did it with the Star Trek font, and it was a one-off. And I don't want to even get, I don't want to get Anas even close to getting in trouble with his lawsuit. So we could certainly make one with a Star Trek kind of looking font, but I don't think we can use the font and mass produce it. I think they would probably frown on that, but we don't necessarily need to have the font. We can just have it say Justice for Anas. We'll see where the parody laws lie with that. But once I talk to him, if he says it's okay and he agrees on a cut, I mean, the guy's never asked for a single cent for his lawsuit. And I admire that. And I wouldn't blame him if he did. And if he eventually does, then I will help him shout it out. Believe me. But yeah, I'll see if we can do that. Definitely. Even if it all goes to him, I don't need to get a cut. I just want to support him. He recently just lost his dad. And you know what he got for it? He got trolled by Dreckies. They should make a female Thor fat. That's the Sam Whiskey for $1.99. Sure. Yes. Body positive female Thor. Yes. Psycho Dwarf 9 for $5. Guys, remember in the sagas, Loki as a horse gave birth to Sleipnir. You know what? I don't remember that. But Psycho Dwarf 9, I will defer to your knowledge. The Cinema Queen, Kaylee, the Cinema Queen. Gary, have you noticed this? The Mandalorian. I did not notice the Mandalorian. And I'm going to have to say Rian now. Because, I know it's Ryan Johnson, by the way, if you're new to the channel. I call him Rian. And I actually got that from my old co-host, which is aptly named, honestly. Why is it better to buy physical media like DVD Blu-ray than iTunes or Amazon Digital? Thank you. Ask Garrett Barley for a $9.99. Thank you. The reason it's better is because you actually own it. And if you have something on iTunes, and this has happened, iTunes could lose the rights to stream something that you paid for, and therefore you don't have it anymore. And the thing is, you would be able to download it and keep it on whatever device you downloaded it on. But if they lose the rights, and say you buy a new device and you want to get that movie again, you won't be able to get it again. So it's better to have the physical media. Plus it looks, I love packaging. Never did like CDs for music. I was always I loved vinyl. I loved, record covers. One of the best ones here. Well, I'll show you later. I've got my Oingo Boingo over there and stuff. Yeah, I love vinyl and I love packaging and product, but that's probably the 20th century sensibility. And the kids just don't care about that stuff anymore. Seen live action Yamamoto out a few years ago. Thoughts? Dirigo Duke for $1.99. Yes, and I loved it. Star Blazers, live action Star Blazers, for what it was. I thought it was a lot of fun. Alora Baga for $9.99. Do you think the 25% includes the original EU? Look how much it got attacked despite many reading it. Look how much it got attacked despite many reading it within the 30 years. I don't know. My guess is if the rumor is true with George Lucas and he gets a percentage, I know 25% seems high to me. I'm just going to say that I'm very skeptical about that percentage personally. But it could be. I mean, could you imagine George Lucas getting 25% off $12 billion? I mean, Jesus Christ, how much money do you need? But I can see it being 5% or even 0.5%. But I don't know if it'll be EU characters. I think George would probably want to stick them with the main characters. But I don't know. It could be a bunch. It could be nothing. I don't know. But it's certainly worth talking about. That's the thing. That's, I've said it before and I'll repeat it here again. YouTube, for me on my channel, is a conversation, and we are here just to talk about stuff, and run it up the flagpole, see who salutes, and, don't report anything. I don't report anything as fact, just what I've heard. And some of it could have been from friends. Some of it's from insiders. Some of it's from my chat. I don't know. I'll talk about whatever the hell I feel like talking about. And if a rumor sounds believable, I'll say, hey, this is a rumor, but it sounds believable. But it might not be true. It's not going to stop me from making a video. I'm not freaking Walter Cronkite. This isn't the New York Times. I don't know. It's a good example. But you know what I mean? But old New York Times. Yeah, and I also don't take myself that seriously. Like, well, I've got these values on these channel that I've got to live up to. It's like, whatever. Come on. Cardinal Sin for $5. Robert Orci is actually a pretty damn good screenwriter and was the original Trek fan. Now he's gone, baby, gone. And he's the missing link from Star Trek. Obviously there was some falling out. I don't know what. I'm just, as a layman, Kurtzman and Orci used to be buddy. They're not anymore. Something happened. Kurtzman won the fight. And my guess is Kurtzman's a better ass kisser than Orci was. And there was some sniping with the fans over Into Darkness that Orci and Kurtzman were both involved in, but I don't know how much was Kurtzman. I don't know how much is Orci. And more importantly, I don't care. But it's a noticeable difference that Orci's gone, but JJ Trek is still JJ Trek, and it's still pretty awful. Techno Babbler for $10. Disney and CBS want passionate fans, but only for loving their work and buying their merchandise. That's not how passion works. You have to take the good with the bad. Otherwise, you're acting entitled. That is the key, because they love to project. They, being the creatives and the showrunners, they love to project. Fans buy stuff, spend time on stuff outside of working their day jobs, living their lives, and they like to have a little fun, mix it up, and talk about the stuff they love or they don't like on forums, here on YouTube, at the comic shop, at the coffee shop, wherever. The creatives just want to hear all the love because they get their asses kissed. Well, they're getting their asses kicked by the fans, but kissed constantly at their work. to their face. But they also know that they're getting talked about poorly behind their back because it's so cutthroat. The comic industry, TV industry, all of it's horribly cutthroat. That's why, passive aggressive ass kissers can do very well in Hollywood. If you're good at both of those things, you're going places, kid, in Hollywood. Captain Spire, $10. Comics, novels, and games are amazing testing grounds for movies. They have the vanguard for what people like and what people expect. It's not foolproof, but basic business 101 that's being ignored. Thank you, Captain Spire, for saying that. Comics have always been a great proving ground. I'll equate it again to the music industry. I love going back to the music industry because the music industry is a prime example of a very important industry that was making gobs of money that has fallen. It is a shadow of its former self. And it's a good study in trends. So, music used to be cultivated by the underground scene. People, rapping on this. I know I sound like such a white guy, rapping on the streets of Brooklyn, in the 70s and the 60s, the punk rock scene in the UK, and even the second wave, that was here, that in DC and California and San Francisco and, other places. The underground metal scene from LA, and then, in Chicago, the industrial scene that cultivated a lot of great music. And of course, Seattle, the underground Seattle scene, the grunge thing was going on quite some time prior to the 90s when everybody started hearing about it. I saw Soundgarden play at a place called Soma, which was a little club in San Diego, and they had an upstairs and a downstairs. So they would have the bigger bands play upstairs, or it was also a dance club. Then downstairs, they had this basement with like this cubby that you would squeeze a band into, and they would play downstairs. I saw Soundgarden down there, and I thought they were the worst thing I've ever heard. I just was, what, but it was in a crappy venue. I couldn't hear them. I ended up loving the band, but so that's where you cultivate all that stuff. Comic books is where you cultivate all that stuff. And they've just exploited it beyond repair at this point. And what happened was the inmates took over the asylum with comic books. With comics, same with the music industry. Frank Zappa, look for a video of Frank Zappa describing the music industry, and it's exactly what's happening in comics. And what Frank Zappa said was, in the 60s and the 50s, the record companies used to be owned by old white dudes smoking cigars who didn't understand the music. They're just like, does it make money? Okay, try it. And that's when you got the most experimental stuff. But when the record companies started getting taken over by douchey hipsters, basically, and they thought they knew better, that's when the experimentation stopped. And that's very similar to what happened in the comic book industry. Is too many of the insular artists. I mean, look at EVS could tell you a much better story because I'm not involved in that. I'm just seeing it as an outsider, as a retailer, how I observed things. I never got close to artists or creatives at the shop. I didn't want to. It wasn't my desire. I'm not a star effer in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what they think or say. I just like their finished product, either in a comic book or on the screen or, on a CD or a record. But I don't want to know about the person. I don't want to meet the person. I've never, it was cool getting Shatner's autograph. That's cool. But I mean, that's it. Shatner and Stan Lee, those are the two people, and those two are gods in their fields. But, so EVS could probably tell you better than me, like how insular it got. The best analogy I could put out there is there used to be a thing here in San Francisco called the Alternative Press Expo, APE. And it's like comic books got taken over by all the zine people who hate superheroes. And that's what's happened. And now that superhero, and the only reason they're taking the job is because it's a paying job, and these people have never had real paying jobs in comics before, and they promptly go and F it up. instead of going, wow, I got this job, maybe I should assimilate just a little bit. Nope, they're going to be the same old jagovs that they were before and destroy an entire industry with it. Your boy Zach at Diversity in Comics has chronicled this. EVS has chronicled this. Doug Ernst has chronicled this. That Just Some Guy, England team back in the day, comics division. They've all been all over this for a long time, and they were right. They were right. So remember, and this is, I'm going to harken back to the Midnight's Edge stream I was on a couple days ago when one of the hosts on there made a not so veiled accusation of clickbait. For one, you need to understand YouTube. For two, we don't do clickbait because I talk about everything in my title, and that's what they got accused of a couple of years ago. They got accused of the same shit. So again, comic books is a proving ground. Comicsgate was a proving ground leading to all this, and all those channels were being accused of clickbait, and all they were doing was hating. No, all they were doing was wondering what the hell happened to the thing they used to love. And that's how all those channels started. They just, your boy Zach started sitting in a car talking about his comic books. He didn't, I don't think he knew he would blow up the way he did, but he did. And made an impact, made a cultural impact on the comic book industry. And the Fandom Menace is doing the same. So we're going to get the same attacks. We're going to get the same people questioning in and out the Fandom Menace. That's why the Fandom Menace really needs to stay loosely affiliated. So we don't have rules. We don't have people telling other, because I'm not going to ever tell another YouTuber what to do. Do what you like, whatever. I mean, that's fine, but I'm already seeing similar patterns. So we'll see how that turns out. Loquacious Primate. The only thing that makes the existence of STD more insulting than its poor quality is the amount of money, 8 to 12 million per episode, close to Game of Thrones. That is true. That is true. Now I heard 10 for season 1. I have multiple insiders at CBS, but I have one that I've said before. I know I've known him for years. Now I don't know if he's going to have a job much longer. So that's one thing, because there's with the merger, he's part of a department there's now 2 of. So I don't know if he's going to be around much longer, but one of the things he told me was that Star Trek Discovery season 1 was averaging $10 million an episode for that. And I can believe it. At first glance, if you're just like looking at a frame, it looks expensive. But when you actually watch the show, you're like, where did that money go? Somebody's got a coke habit, in my opinion. Just joking, kind of. MG, hail Gary, hail Doomcock. My first super chat. My life is very simple, so very tremendously improved. And let me start that over. I'm sorry. This is Australian $14.99 from MG. Hail Gary, hail Doomcock. My first super chat. Thank you. My life is very simple. My life is very simply so very tremendously improved and more fun through your thoroughly entertaining videos and streams. Matt from Sydney, Australia. Matt, thank you so much. That's the key here, is to entertain, have a conversation. And if you guys like it, you'll give me a thumbs up. You'll subscribe. If you don't, you won't give me your time of day. You move on. Most normal people just move on. There's some people who really, I don't know, I get under their skin. Or Doomcock gets under their skin and they just want to make videos, and that's fine. That's great. Go for it. I just don't understand it. But thank you, Matt. Hearing that we're entertaining and we make somebody's day a little better, that's makes it all worth it. Makes it all worth it. The only thing that makes the existence, I already read that. But thank you again, Matt. Brother Malachi, you skipped Bionic Belly Button Super Chat. Has Doomcock seen the Cats trailer? Dear God, it's a mess. Worse than Sonic. She should get his booze. Yeah, that's what I was talking to Doomcock, because I know he likes musicals, but I don't know if he likes Cats or not. I mean, I know he likes some musical theater because he's Well, he's a singer. He's a singer, so it's totally understandable. If he sees the Cats trailer, though, his mind is going to be blown. And I'll go and check if on Bionic Belly Button Super Chat there, brother Malachi. So don't worry, we're that's why we're doing the Super Chat square up. Adam Child, hey y'all, I'd never block you guys. I need to step it up. My Twitter's empty of Gary and Doomcock love. People may think I'm silent. I'm a silent follower. I'll retweet some of your stuff. I am blocked by an amazing amount of people there, and I used to not be blocked by anybody. I have never personally attacked anybody on Twitter. I don't think I've even clapped back. But I am the Dreckies have been always coming at me, but I showed that picture last night. That's all they're going to get. They're going to get James Charles booty with Michael Burnham holding the phaser the wrong way. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys that picture. It's pretty awful. But James Charles, the YouTuber, was trending day before yesterday because he posted a naked picture of himself. So everybody started memeing him and putting stuff over his butt. And it was pretty funny. Jason Smoot, I sail the high seas for most Disney movies. Want to watch both. Bought Alita though. Thank you for buying Alita, Jason. Thank you very much for buying Alita. We love Alita. By the way, I'll get to the chat in just a second because I'm just trying to get through these. But first, I don't want to lose my spot. We'll do Bionic Belly Buttons at the end. I know we caught one, but if I missed another one, I'm sorry. How about a general strike and sit-in theaters for Cardinal Sin for Rise of Skywalker? I think that'd be too hard. I mean, it's going to have a great opening weekend. But listen, if the only way we're going to make an impact is by not buying it, do I think it'll make an impact? I don't know. You certainly made one with Solo. I think that's undeniable. I think the Phantom Menace did great work. And we'll see. I don't think episode 9 is going to do as well because it didn't. It's pretty like without the Phantom Menace, it doesn't have Han and Luke. Luke is going to barely be in it. And we saw that footage. What the hell did that have to do with Skywalker? Like any of it. And I agree with Robert Meyer Burnett, by the way. Again, Kylo Ren, irredeemable, but they're going to make him redeemable. You want to know why? Because killing your father's not so bad, because patriarchy's bad. Interest anyone in a Last Jedi digital code, says Matt Joseph with a little wink there. I probably not. Hail Inca, thank you for the $2. McKinney 90 for $5. Hail Inquisitors, wanted to show you guys some love and support from a sane person in Crazy Town. Are you in the Bay Area as well, McKinney? Yeah. So probably tomorrow. I meant to come out with it today. There's a news story from San Francisco. This will be probably one of my only videos on Nerdrotic Live. Kind of copying Jeremy a little bit. You know, he does some stuff. He's got a channel, D-Day Cobra. Go subscribe to it, where he does some political rants and sports rants, I think. But he's got his sports wars now too. I'm doing the same thing because San Francisco just did the most insane thing, and I have to talk about it. Cardinal Sin asked Doomcock if he's watched Bubba Hotep yet. I don't think he has. But I will bug him. He still needs to, his time he's got about as much time as I do to do stuff, but he needs to watch Dread and Bubba Hotep because his life will be greatly improved, especially after watching that, living through this whole D23 Star Wars stuff. It's a good palate cleanser, Bubba Hotep there. Shareholders have the power to fire Kennedy. Almost want to buy 100 Disney shares at a loss just to have the tiny shareholder's voice to get rid of her. It says Tyler X2F01 for $5 Canadian. Yeah, I have Disney stock. But it was I haven't. Well, I get the crap in the mail saying I still have it. It was my old Marvel stock that turned into Disney stock, and then I forgot about it. I really should get rid of it. I mean, owning a part of Disney makes me feel dirty. Adam Child saw a non-woke movie. Thanks, Gerard Butler. Angel Has Fallen has no wokeness. Rambo could be good, but I'm sure he gets killed by a girl. LOL. I think Rambo might be good. The last one was good. And I'll watch Angel Has Fallen because of crazy ass Nick Nolte. I love Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte. 48 Hours is one of my all-time favorite films because of Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, but it's almost a perfect movie to me. And one of the best movies filmed in San Francisco. The great Mark C. for $5. Hail, my lord, please read the last DM I sent you to Gary and the chat. Hail to Mark C. And I'll pass that on to Doomcock. Adam W. Hail Doomcock. Kathleen Kennedy is a great argument against diversity hires, which she was by her own admission. They want to kill meritocracy. They do. Adam W. for $5. They do. Well, they have killed meritocracy within Hollywood right now. You saw who they hired for the Miss Marvel to showrun Miss Marvel. A racist. A freaking racist. And the fact that Doomcock and I talked about that for 5 minutes in the Inquisition got the whole thing demonetized last night. And I don't, my videos don't get demonetized that much. I don't know why. Probably because I don't cuss as much. I don't know, but they don't get demonetized. So it's odd for me to get demonetized. And that one got demonetized because we talked about it, but I'll talk about it again. I don't give a shit. Mark C. My DM in Doomcock's Twitter. Well, I can't read your DMs in Doomcock's Twitters, Mark C., but thank you for $2. Classic Comics for $5. Marvel's first Muslim superhero. We were asking who the first Muslim superhero was that came out, that talked about. I could have sworn it was Dust, but maybe I was just assuming that because she had a hijab on. But Classic Comics. Now, I know who Arabian Night is. I didn't know he was a Muslim, though. I don't know if that's assumed or not, but he says Marvel's first Muslim superhero was the Arabian Night. He first appeared in Hulk 257 back in the 70s. Yes, I know who the Arabian Night is. I didn't know is that assumed or did he say he was? Because according to Marvel right now, Classic Comics, and I'm not denying you, Miss Marvel was the first Muslim superhero, which I'm calling BS on. Not that it matters because they're pretend. And the last super chat from last night is "You guys are the best" by Jason Smoot for $10. I love that being the last super chat. That's great. All right, now back to the chat. Now I wanted to get through that. Hope you're all still there. There you go. Oh shit, we got 1,400 people watching. Jesus Christ. So this is the last live stream on StreamYard. When the Nerdrotic Nooner returns next Wednesday at 11, we'll have the new software and I can bring people on. I want to start Friday night. We're going to start bringing a lot of people on, including the patrons are first, but we're going to mix some people in here. I want to get a lot of people from the Geeks and Gamers crew. I want to get Odin on the channel, get Josiah back. Of course, Jeremy. Oh, and there's a guy we need to get. Look at this guy. We need a straight white male superhero. I'm literally typing this for 2027, and there's none of them here in the future from 2027. Computing forever. Okay, oh boy. Okay, you ready for this? You're going to get an exclusive here, folks. We've got 1,479 people watching. I was going to save this for the video, but Computing Forever did a video. Dave Cullen did a video on my hometown of San Francisco. Getting rid of the word felon. Okay. And it's just a word and it's fine. But the thing is, I'm not going to get this right, but what they want to replace it with is person who's had criminal past or person who's had, somebody who's justice adjacent or something, some ridiculous. So I'm in a town where you can't own a dog. You're a dog guardian. You're not known as a dog owner. So it's par for the course. It's par for the course. So again, 1,491 people are going to hear this now. I was going to save it for the video, but screw it. I don't care. I live in the moment. So I'm a felon. I am a felon. I'm a double felon. So I live in a state with 3 strike laws, and I'm 1 strike away from 3 strike laws. So no secret that I'm a grateful recovering addict. I got in a lot of trouble a couple of decades ago, and I paid the price for it. I got busted. I've been arrested 8 times in my life, and 3 of them were felons. 1 of them was dropped, but it's all drug related charges. It's all drug related charges. So I did a pretty decent chunk of time back in the early 90s. So I just want to ask, now that I'm not a felon, can I buy a gun now? I was wondering if I could buy a gun, because the reason they want to bring felons back is to get the 4th Amendment right back so they can vote. But if they pick the 4th Amendment, can they get the 2nd Amendment too? I'm just curious about that. But they're really trying to do is destigmatize it, which I don't mind. I think that needs to be done. I think if there's certain people like myself who've gone decades without getting in trouble, and there's certainly a process you can go through. It's not easy. You can get a pardon. You can get, and honestly, if you go past 5 years, I've passed multiple background checks and nobody's ever figured it out. The thing is, I've been lying on applications for decades. So I don't give a shit anymore. It's something I've talked about in AA meetings for decades. Everybody who knows me knows. Jeremy knows. I mean, I don't care. It's a story for another day. As far as like my whole saga from being in Folsom in the early 90s for a couple of years, and getting out and rebuilding my life. Yeah, it's just a part of my life that, I mean, it's ancient history. But the thing is, I still can't vote, and I still can't, I will never be able to buy a gun. My wife cannot buy a gun because she's in the same house that I'm in. So it infringes on her rights. And yeah, so San Francisco wants to do this thing by decriminalizing felons. Well, the problem with that, the reason I'm not okay with it is, you want to decriminalize it, then don't use the words, use your actions. The reason ex-felon is important is because of the recidivism rate. And a lot of that has nothing to do with the state. I know the state wants to get blamed, and believe me, there's plenty of stuff that's wrong with it. All right. I was there. So they make it, you can rehabilitate, but it's very difficult. And they do kind of make it, it's a moneymaker for the state. So a lot of people out there are poo-pooing private prisons, but that's only because the state doesn't want competition. They make plenty of money. They pay, people work, and they make $1 a day. There's firefighters. Okay. So I was part of this. I'm a trained firefighter because I went to a camp and while I was in jail, and I was with the CDF, and I trained to become a firefighter, and I have fought 7 fires. I got injured on one pretty badly, actually. I broke my tailbone, and it was horrible injury. You don't ever want to break your tailbone. Trust me. So, but I became a firefighter, and I was fighting fires, and I was making $1 an hour. $1 an hour. So, but you know what? It's also rehabilitating them. It's you have to be not considered a security risk, and people were rushing to sign up for it, and it actually did some good. That was actually doing some good. But what San Francisco wants to do is disingenuous. They don't really give a crap about the felon. They obviously don't give a crap about our crime here, because they don't even investigate. Like, say your car gets broken into, a cop won't come out. They have you fill out a form online. The poop on the streets thing, that's freaking real as hell. That is not over exaggerated at all. I saw a Cleveland steamer on my way to the gym 3 days ago, and that is 4 miles outside of downtown San Francisco. So this city's got a ton of freaking problems, a ton. And it's actually not as cool as it used to be. It used to be kind of cool. Yeah, it's filled with like lunatic hippies. That's never really, I could ignore them. You see some Birkenstocks coming, you just walk the other way. It's that easy. But as I stated on my last live stream, I dropped my kid off at school surrounded by cop cars and they had to surround the goddamn school for a homeless person who wouldn't leave. When a cop could have easily just picked the guy up and thrown his ass in the car, but they can't touch him, because if they do, they're in all kinds of trouble with the city. So this is a city like that needs the cops, but they hate them. And they want to seem sensitive to criminals, but what they're doing is ignoring what's right in front of their face. And I will say, and this probably won't make me popular if anybody's watching inside, but I was there. I didn't meet anybody innocent, not a single person. I think everybody kind of worked their way in there somehow, some way, whether they were busted for the thing they got busted on, or generally, when you're in there, you had to get in trouble a lot. You don't just go straight to the pen. You get your misdemeanor, you get a couple charges dropped, you do county jail. You don't go straight to the pen unless it's a horribly violent crime. So you have to make a career of it. And there's a point of personal responsibility. I never felt like it was the state's responsibility to rehabilitate me. I broke the law. I had to go through the humiliation of going to court with my parents in there. I had to go through the humiliation of being a number. And when you are a number and you have no freedom, it degrades you as a human. The humiliation of the guards in there treating you like shit. And they treated you like shit because they're supposed to. They're not supposed to, like, listen, there's some really crooked ones. There were some bad ones, and there were some ones just doing their job like normal people. It wasn't a great experience, but I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened to me. It made me a better person. It straightened my life out. I was on my way to dying. I was on the fast track of dying, and fortunately, I got popped. I got thrown in, and I was able to clean up, and that's the one thing that sunk in. I had been to multiple rehabs before that. I've been to the county slammer a couple times, but one trip into the pen, I was good. I was clean after that. I had a relapse later, but it was decades later. But that's the thing that's, it saved my life. Taking away the stigma of ex-felon, we're talking about a number that is so small. Unfortunately, I don't know what help it would do, or we certainly want to take away the stigma so they can get jobs, so they can stop from going back. I agree with that. That's fine. But that's not San Francisco's motivation. San Francisco wants to get the votes. That's all they care about. And the only thing that just pops in my mind is, well, if you're going to give, because there's, again, Fourth Amendment rights, you lose for a while you're on parole. Any law enforcement officer can search you at any time, whenever the hell they want. And probable cause and all that. I got my parole officer always thought I was up to something. I was being a good lad. I did my P tests. I passed everything, but he was always thinking I was up to something. But yeah, it's stupid. It's typical San Francisco stupidity. If they want to really tackle crime, focus on rehabilitation and not terminology. I think a step in the right direction is decriminalizing pot. I think that was a great step in the right direction. Although I don't smoke pot, I don't like pot. I don't like the smell of pot. But it's such a layered problem. It's almost too hard to get into in a pop culture podcast. I don't know how I got on this because Dave popped on, but this is how it rolls. So that's what the video was going to be on. And, you know, I've got something written up that I want to go over, but yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. It's typical San Francisco. I can't wait to freaking move. I was just thinking that I was redoing my entire room. I'm like, I'm going to move in a year. This is stupid. But yeah, there we go. Let's get back to the chat here. But there you got some, we have stupid politicians here. We have, the city is run by a technocracy at this point. It's run by Twitter and Google. I mean, they came in and they just bull rushed everything. This was a town that had essentially been the same for a long time. But since I've moved here, there's giant skyscrapers now, and you can't drive in half the city because they closed down half the streets for bike lanes that nobody uses. And they want to shut down a major thoroughfare downtown, and they want to start charging you for going downtown. And it's just some stupid shit. And the property tax here is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But let's get back to the super chats, and then I want to talk about the Watchmen. The Watchmen. We'll share the screen right here. By the way, thanks, Dave. Thanks for starting all that. It's all your fault. Where did that go? There it is. All right. So this article, I missed this article. Oh, hang on a second. There's Man of Action. What's up? Okay. So back to, I know that was quite the bomb to drop on everybody, but I've actually talked about it in American Gods live stream. I talked about it in my 50,000 subscriber live stream. So I mean, it's not really that big of a secret, and I don't care anymore. I as a matter of fact, when I applied for Tesla, and I had to lie on the application. That's the thing that bothered me the most, was lying on the application. I just swore, like, this is the last time I'm fucking lying on the goddamn application. I don't give a fuck. They can not hire me, whatever. And it turns out Tesla didn't give a shit. Tesla didn't even drug test me, which was funny. It's the first place I haven't been drug tested in a long time. So I don't know if that's good news or bad news. Gary Beekler, the man who crawled through 500 yards of shit and came out the other end clean. Somehow I managed. Yes. So, yeah, I did time at Old Folsom. It was actually right after they filmed American Me there is when I arrived. I was in building 1 for a year, and then I went to a minimum security facility. So they, before we start this article, they were trying an experiment that they didn't want anybody to know, by the way. So there's different levels of prisons. There's level, 1 and 2 are kind of, you're a nonviolent criminal. And then there's 3 and 4 where you're a violent criminal, and they try to separate you, right? Well, they wanted to do this experiment at Folsom because they had 2 prisons and 1 piece of property. So they're like, hey, we got an overcrowding problem. Let's take some of the level 2s and we'll just mix them in with the level 4s. So I had a cellmate. And the thing is, like, lifers don't like people who are getting out. They generally don't like to be around them. They don't like it. So I was celled up with a lifer, a murderer, a really bad dude. And he didn't like me very much. And guess what? I didn't like him. And yeah. And again, I'll do a whole live stream on how I survived that shit. But I came out of there generally without a scratch, and nothing horrible happened to me. So, I read a lot of books. Pretty much every Stephen King book. So here we go. The Hunt controversy. How will HBO market Watchmen? So the controversy is, so we all know what The Hunt was. The Hunt was the deplorables get caught by elitist liberals, and they get hunted down. So the reason this movie got canceled was because of the recent shooting. And it had nothing to do with the deplorables being shot. Nobody in Hollywood had a problem with that. And it's supposed to show that, like, the elitist liberals were the bad guys. So listen, and I believe all art should exist. I think this thing should have been released, and then it's up to us to criticize it and shoot it down or whatever, for lack of a better term. But the reason it was it was taken back was not for the reason some people think, you know. So, but what IndieWire thinks is they just weren't clever with the marketing. IndieWire, after the Hunt controversy, how will HBO market Watchmen? Carefully marketing violent and political film and TV projects is becoming increasingly important for distributors like HBO and Fox. The Hunt is hardly the first controversial film to get canceled, and it won't be the last. Violent, politicized entertainment isn't a groundbreaking concept, but given the ever more blurred lines between politics and entertainment, and under the influence of daily social media grievance silence cycles, carefully marketing controversial projects is becoming increasingly important for film and television distributors. Case in point. Two upcoming television projects, HBO's Watchmen and Fox's Almost Family, which we're not going to talk about, both deal with hot button issues and could be in a similar line of fire as The Hunt. To date, the two shows are taking vastly different approaches to quelling concerns. HBO, by the way, The Hunt was written by Damon Lindelof. Watchmen is written by Damon Lindelof. Watchmen, the acclaimed graphic novel, is getting a television adaptation on HBO in October. It's sacrilege. It's an abomination that this is happening. But listen, they're putting it on the air. I'm going to rip it to shreds. The series will take place in contemporary America, several decades after the comic book's plot, and will focus in part on the after effects of a white supremacist group terrorizing police officers. Now, to remind you all, if you didn't see my Watchmen video, Damon Lindelof, so Watchmen is about superheroes. It's a superhero story. It's a deconstruction of the superhero using the backdrop of the biggest problem of our time in the 80s, which was nuclear Armageddon, which was a real thing that was hanging over everybody's head all the time. We were one button push away from the end of existence. But Damon Lindelof seems to think that so he wants to put the backdrop, wants to give Watchmen a backdrop of the biggest problem of our time of current year. And Damon Lindelof thinks it's white supremacy. So the white supremacy problem is equal to the nuclear Armageddon problem from the 80s, which is insane, disingenuous, and stupid. And for one, the politics that he's talking about are very 2015, by the way. Since Watchmen premieres in October, HBO's heavy marketing for the series is still a few weeks away. That said, an HBO spokesperson said that they were confident with the marketing plans for the series and do not plan on changing their strategy in response to recent real-world events. HBO has a long history of championing thought-provoking storytelling like Watchmen. A blend of fantastical science fiction and political social commentary, which is based on the original iconic graphic novel, the spokesperson told IndieWire in a statement. We have approached the marketing of Watchmen with great care from the outset. The first two trailers for the series have already been released, and our future materials will continue in the same vein. There is no current plans to alter the marketing strategy in any significant way. So basically, if they're not coming out and saying this, but the Rorschach gang is Trump supporters, Orange Man supporters. So, but I'm sure it'll be very subtle, and they'll show both sides of the argument, I'm sure. I don't know where they get that. I don't know where Damon Lindelof gets that. I would hope that he would have read Watchmen. But considering, I mean, this is just a little nitpick, and believe me, this is argued within shops, but Damon Lindelof calls Watchmen a graphic novel. It's a comic book series that was collected in a trade paperback. To me, a graphic novel is an original work presented in book form. That's a graphic novel. If you are collecting comic books, it's a trade paperback, but that's just a little nitpick there. Regardless, even if the series marketing to date de-emphasizes its more controversial themes, its handling of white supremacy, terrorism, and policing By the way, it's policing too, by the way. They're not just going to, it's policing and white supremacy. Those are the problems of our time, not technocracy, not our speech being quelled at every turn, not social engineering through entertainment propaganda. That's not the problem of our time. A group of probably a number in the thousands throughout the United States who think they're like the Fourth Reich or something. I don't know. But I'll tell you where I did meet some was in prison. Yeah. And it was for most of them, it was survival. It was to just be part of a gang. Now I wasn't part of that. And that did cause me some trouble. Again, story for another day, but I didn't want to, I'm not into affiliating even when I was in the slammer. So be brought up by reporters and TV critics when Watchmen creator Damon Lindelof, who also co-wrote The Hunt, and others began doing more press for the show. Though Lindelof representatives did not return requests for comment, he is prepared. He received several questions about the series' dramatization of white supremacist terrorism during the Watchmen panel at TCA in late July. He noted that the original Watchmen comic also directly addressed then contemporary political issues and said his upcoming HBO series would similarly deal with topics that are relevant to American audiences in 2019. So, and listen, it's going to come down to this. It comes down to, are you a talented writer or are you not? So Alan Moore is a talented writer. Alan Moore can put in socio-political concepts and allegory that doesn't that makes you think, that wouldn't drive any reader away, and wrote a fascinating work. Damon Lindelof does mystery box bullshit, and he learned at the J.J. Abrams School of Not Storytelling. So I mean, listen, J.J. Abrams, Lindelof, Kurtzman, nobody will ever question their ambition. I just question their talent. I just simply question their talent and the ability to execute what I don't think any sane person would try to do. A sequel, by the way, the Watchmen series is going to be a direct sequel to the comic book, not the Zack Snyder movie, which would make way more sense, by the way. And I don't hate, by the way. I like it as an independent work on its own, objectively. It misses some of the mark of the comic book, and but I still like the movie quite a bit. And I love Rorschach in the movie. Like, I think the performance, Jack Earl Haley, I think his performance is equal to Heath Ledger's Joker, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. There it is. And that's what makes the movie great for me, is his performance is just spectacular as Rorschach. Even if you hate the movie, you got to admit he was good in it. He was good. So they're going to have to deal with these relevant topics in 2019. The Watchmen comic was about what was happening in American culture at the time. Lindelof at the TC says at the TCA, what in 2019 is equivalent? Okay, here it is. What in 2019 is the equivalent of a nuclear standoff between the Russians and the United States? Listen, the first thing that comes to my mind, this is so stupid. I have trouble like forming words on this. All right. So nuclear war was hanging over our head in the 80s, and it was real. It scared me to death when I was a little kid. The Day After was one of the scariest movies. It was right up there with The Exorcist as far as freaking me the fuck out, because I was a little kid and we all thought we were going to die. Either by radiation poisoning or just getting vaporized by a hydrogen bomb or a nuclear bomb. The news was hyping it up back then. And, and we were doing I did duck and cover at school. Yeah. So it was real. Are there for that to be equal, there would have to be incidents of white supremacy terrorism every day. And it would, this is a fake story. So they were able to take on the cops in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the cops have to wear masks. The whole concept sounds stupid, But you know what? We'll just give him enough, you know what, to take care of himself. And it just felt like it was undeniably race. Okay, I'll read that again. What in 2019 is the equivalent of the nuclear standoff between the Russians and the United States? It just felt like it was undeniably race and policing in America. And so the idea started to graft itself into Watchmen universe and needed to be presented in a responsible way. Again, let's talk about the incident at my kid's school on the first day of school when Mrs. Nerdrotic arrives. So Nerdrotic Jr. can start his first day of 8th grade, and our school is surrounded by cops, surrounded for one homeless dude. How is that bad policing? I'd say that's over policing. This is proof that we are a civil society. This is, I disagree with Tim Pool. I don't believe we're on the brink of civil war. And I will present to you one more time the idea of the 4-way stop in the middle of nowhere that most of us would stop at. When we start ignoring that, then we're degrading. So far, nothing revealed about Watchmen has been as nakedly pandering as the references to deplorables and elites in The Hunt. While the mere mention of white supremacist villains in Watchmen spawned the predictable kinds of pushback and vitriol in the cesspool that is every online comment section, the upcoming series has yet to provoke any anger worth taking seriously. So IndieWire thinks it's so above the cesspool that is online commentary. But then they use a term like cesspool, that is every online commentary right here, cesspool. But they're above it. Shill access journalism at its very best and worst. Who wrote this? Tyler. Well, Tyler. Well, son. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. Of course, nobody's for. Listen, I'm just saying that the narrative of white supremacy, terrorism might be trumped up a little bit to help a partisan side. I don't see it as the danger of our times. But I think one side would very much like for them to exist. They need that boogeyman because the Russian bot thing has worn itself out. But I mean, like, listen, I get it because I don't like Star Trek Discovery. I've been called racist. So, I mean, same old. On the polar opposite end of the spectrum, you have Fox's Almost Family, and I guess they're taking a different route. So HBO, of course, HBO knows its audience. All right. Let's not kid around here. HBO knows its audience and they play to their base. That's what they're really good at. And the thing is, HBO had a lot of normies from Game of Thrones that there's now a giant void where they used to be because Game of Thrones sucked. And they think they're actually going to fill it with Watchmen or Westworld. Westworld could have been the heir apparent to Game of Thrones. It went partisan and political. Watchmen is going to be partisan and political when it never was. Okay, by the way, it's not being political, being like anti-war. I don't think anybody's like, oh yeah, I want to destroy the world with nuclear bombs. I don't think anybody's for that. So you can't say that's a political side. This is just LA brand of partisan garbage that we're going to get from Watchmen. And it's a story that shouldn't be told. It was a one-off. It was 12 issues. There should have been a before Watchmen. There shouldn't have been a doomsday clock. Shame on you, DC. But this is the way it goes. Alan Moore he's an anarchist. Where's Dave? God damn it. Dave, every time I think to Skype you, Dave, it's like late. It's the time difference. I just lost that. Damn it. I'm sorry. Alan Moore is an anarchist. He's also like a sorcerer or a wizard or something. I love Alan Moore. He's crazy. But I love him as a writer. I love Watchmen. I love the movie. I know I know it's so bad to like the movie, but I do. I do. I think it's great. I agree with everything you just said, Gary. These people are such garbage. No creativity. All they do is things, create things that don't exist. What they do is JC Shaggy. They try to destroy creativity, and they turn on themselves all the time. That's the thing. Art should be free to do whatever the hell it wants. Let's see what the has white supremacy changed from extremism to the equivalent of the male gaze in the US now? Probably. I think so. Truculent trout. Yes, it's hyperbolic in every sense. Hyperbolic in every sense. Dave said good night a while back. Thank you, Dave. Good night. I love Dave so much. Please watch his video. Just make sure, if you are not subscribed to Computing Forever and Dave Cullen, do that. He is an excellent YouTuber and a ginger. He could be ginger sided at any time. So you want to support Dave Cullen. My bit rate is like AOL 2002. I know, Mikey. That's why I've got to move over to the new computer. So I apologize. I got 1,600 people watching my garbage internet. So that's why I kept my screen up. It's ridiculous. Dave Cullen, Nina Fabiano. Dave Cullen, Computing Forever. Great YouTuber. Oh my God. I haven't even checked. Hang on 1 second. Oh, I've got to get over to today's. Yeah, he just came out with a video on the Hong Kong protest. By the way, everybody, thanks for watching the Star Wars trailer reaction. It's doing really well. And usually my trailer reactions don't do well at all. So thank you. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps the channel. It really helps the channel. Just a reminder, this one's going to be over on Nerdrotic Live when it's done. Because of algorithmic reasons. Here we go. Nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. There we are. Oh my Lord. Okay. Kilter is overrated, says Automata for $2. Absolutely, it is. Nathan O'Brien for $2. Happy International Dog Day. Pet your doggo, John. Is it International Dog Day? Is it really International Dog Day? Because then I got to get one of the dogs in here. Hang on. Let's get Maris in here. Let's get Maris. But I want to, since the bit rate is so bad, we'll do this. Hang on, folks. I'm going to get Maris. Maris. Come here. Maris is a good dog. Since it's International Dog Day, hang on. There we go. So this is Maris. Oh, what are you worried about? See? That's Maris. Say hi. Say hi. What's the matter? She's such a needy little girl. So she was supposed to be, what's that? What's that? We were supposed to just foster her for a bit, and then we decided to keep her. She likes to lay her head on the shoulder, though. She's a good girl. Yeah, she is. She can sit on the lap for a little while. So that's Maris. Don't forget to pet your doggo. Don't forget to pet your doggo. And we'll get this going again. Hang on. There we go. I did not know it was International Dog Day. By the way, my donations from my donation stream have been made. I will post those tomorrow on the website on nerdrotic.com. Okay. So we, for 100,000 subscribers, I donated to 4 charities, and the donations have been made. So I will post that tomorrow. And one of them was for dogs. So the San Francisco SPCA. I sent you an email earlier about meeting up in New York. Have you read it? Also, JJ is going to mostly copy Return of the Jedi for episode 9, says Sir Ruin of House Roundhead. I saw the email. I will respond to it. Yes, we could meet in New York. Let's do it. We do it. Do it. Thank you, Sir Ruin of House Roundhead, for the $4.99. Mr. 19 for $4.99. Do you think Lucasfilm is waiting for Ruin Johnson's new trilogy to move the story forward after episode 9? Yeah, I mean, like listen, I don't think he's actually going to get one, but the last news I heard that was somewhat official was he's going to be using new characters. They are going to be new characters. They're not going to draw on any old characters. I don't know how true that is. I still don't think he's actually going to do one, but that's just me. Thank you for the $4.99, Mr. 19. Mark C for $5. I have to disagree with your Lucas payout theory. However, until the merger, the problem couldn't have been Fox's ownership of 4 and possibly the characters. That's a possibility. Yeah. And it's not a theory. It's Mark. It's a rumor. It's not a theory. The theory would be something I made up. The theory that the rumor that George Lucas gets a residual is believable. Is a believable rumor, but it's not a theory. It's not a theory. It came from a very solid person who's given me like good stuff before. Some I've run with and some I haven't. I generally don't run with most of the stuff I hear. I really don't. It's like, again, because I don't want to be like, you know what? I don't want to get addicted to like having to do news videos all the time. That'd be terrible. I just want to give my unsolicited opinions on things. But as far as episode 4 and Fox is concerned, I think all that got worked out in the Fox merger. I think all of that got worked out in the Fox merger. Or maybe it didn't. I know they didn't have distribution. It wasn't episode 4, or it was 4. Yeah. The one that Fox had listen, in a future video, Mark, I will point out what I found in the Disney reports that are available online. If you go read the quarterly reports, they disclose very limited disclosure, but they disclose who they pay out residuals to and who owns what and stuff. And you can find it. And they talk about Lucasfilm retaining rights to merchandising and all the rights to all the Star Wars movies except for episode 4. And that was including George Lucas. Now, I had somebody email me saying this confirms my rumors. It really didn't. It just confirmed that Lucasfilm retained its own rights prior to the purchase of Disney, but it doesn't say anything after that, and they don't have to disclose that either. They can hide it somewhere else. So, Modalicious, Star Wars Original Trilogy is a series about a father and a son reconciling a poor relationship on the backdrop of intergalactic war. Too masculine for Disney, I guess. Absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that was great about Star Wars is it didn't go to Coruscant at first. You were on the outskirts. Now, for one, they were limited by budget, but again, this is where creativity flows. We get better films when people are limited on budget. Actually, every movie studio should absolutely do that. Should limit every the first Spider-Man film was limited on budget. Matrix was limited on budget. Star Wars was limited on budget. And we get these great things from them. Freaking all the Mad Max films were. Dread. Dread is a modern classic, in my opinion, limited by budget. It just works. But we're on the outskirts of this galactic society, that was cool. I'm going to see episode 9 to see how bad it will be, says Nicholas Horton. Absolutely, for £2. I think it'll be. I think to hate watch it, I understand. But just buy a ticket to Cats and go to see episode 9. Eric K for $2. Surprise. The Mandalorian is Bree. Oh, let it Bree. Let it Bree. Let it Bree. Oh, let it Bree. It was very interesting that Captain Marvel wasn't mentioned once during D23, yet she was on the banners everywhere. But Mark C, the George Lucas thing, I don't think it's anything that can ever be proven. The only reason I ran with it, because it seems to have made sense why there was no original trilogy characters in Galaxy's Edge. And Clownfish TV's Pirates and Princesses ran a very good article that I mentioned in my video. They talked to an Imagineer that said that they were intending on using original trilogy characters. And the word from on high was that Bob Iger was so encouraged by the dailies of the newer movies that he ordered that they use that instead. I don't believe that. I just don't, but that's my personal belief. But again, I mean, I don't know, Mark C. I honestly don't know. It's all about the money. That's why Kevin Smith is a pathetic shill now. Them dollars. Cracklin, you're right. And you know what? Kevin Smith didn't need to sell it. I think he would be just as popular within Hollywood and without if he would have stayed true to himself. But you hang around the creatives, you hang around Hollywood, you get that LA Kool-Aid going through your veins, and it just happens. It does. You stop being a fan, and it starts becoming your career. And, he did Comic Book Men, which was fracking awful. It was just awful. And people used to ask me all the time, like, what I thought of that show. And I would say, I guess I know what a surgeon feels like after actually watching an episode of VR. Destiny Captain. Hail Gary, toxic mailbag today. That's a running joke. It is a running joke. Every day's a toxic mailbag, Destiny Captain. But if you watch my Patreon live stream, you would have heard that I had every intention of going by the P.O. box and getting dog food. And I spaced it. I drove straight home from the gym and I went, God damn, now I got to go back. Now I have to go back. Just because DVD was on fire earlier today. Michael Maloney, Dictor Van Doomcock. Yes, he was on fire on the Inquisition last night too. That's for sure. Tyrone Beard. Okay, Gary, did you see the Marvel versus DC email I sent you? I have not yet. I will check though. I will check. Thank you, Tyrone. By the way, if you were listening to the Inquisition last night, I was talking about a commission John Byrne did for me. I put it up on Twitter. You want to go take a look at it. I actually found an image on his Tumblr of it because I don't have it anymore. And the story behind not having it is a very sad one. The very, very sad one. Patriarchy is bad. Yeah, I hate the Patriots. Says Mega Jetty 1 for $2. Sergio Solis for 200 Mexican dollars. Unless they confirm Rose Tico plus Jar Jar Binks, I'm not watching this shite. Here's my entrance ticket to you. By the way, who is C3PO's dealer? Asking for a friend. Sergio, his eyes were all red. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's not evil C3PO. He's stone C3PO. He's just, he's listening to Star Wars Bob Marley. Don't worry about a thing. Yes, I know. You're a good girl. If Marvel is failing, Gary, then why is the Avengers station packed every day? Says the Dr. 14 Blu-ray reviews. Marvel Comics has nothing to do with what's the Avengers station? Hang on. I'll go look. The Avengers station is probably filled because the movies are very successful. So Dr. 14 Blu-ray reviews. I've been to Avengers Station. That's the place that's in Las Vegas. It's pretty easy to fill something in Las Vegas that has air conditioning that's on the strip for one. For two, Avengers Station is pretty cool. It's a little overpriced, but you walk in there and you see some costumes and stuff, and it's got some interactive kiddie stuff. That's pretty cool. I went there like 3 years ago. And it's also because of the films, but Marvel comic books, has failed the customer, and the MCU is failing their customers because of the direction they're taking. Dr. 14 Blu-ray reviews. So the actual monetization or the financial failure that could come is going to be a couple of years away. But it's also recognizing this stuff before it happens. That's part of my job here. And that was part of my job at the comic store. I had to be a little bit ahead on the trends. So I tried to be. I wasn't perfect on all of it, but I made, and also it's just kind of a hobby too. Trend scouting and stuff has been a hobby of mine. And, it goes back to my record store days and being a collector and stuff. You just got to keep an eye on that stuff because it interests me. So sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think we have arrived at SJW MCU. I think Captain Marvel was the first shot. I think we're going to get more of that. And I think we're going to get the same results we did in the comics, even though those are two different divisions. They are two patterns that I guarantee will repeat because when you willingly alienate half your audience, and that's what's going on here, is like they've made a decision. They know what they're doing. We're going to get political. We're going to offend some people. We don't care. We're big enough to where we don't care. We don't think that number is significant enough to keep us from doing it. So we need to show them that we are. And what they don't count is the people in the middle that they offend, that they don't intend to, but they do with their pandering. Southeastern Kaiju for $2. Demonetizing super chat, never surrendered. And I won't, my friend. Thank you very much for the $2. Tim Riggs for $10. Crimes committed and time paid for should not follow every single felon throughout their entire life. I believe in redemption. San Francisco, however, isn't fixing anything. It's a superficial virtue signal. Absolutely agree. If they wanted to fix something, they would do more than that. And that doesn't fix a goddamn thing. If you make a title long, if you make it criminal adjacent, people are still going to see that. They're going to see what the thing is, whether you're called a felon or not. If you have a felony on your record within 5 years, every background check is going to find it. Now, if it's over 5 years, you're safe. You're generally safe. I'm very safe because it was 26 years ago. There's probably people in my chat not that old. Sam Whiskey. Kylo Ren is Star Wars version of Lenny Luthor for $1.99. It's so true. That's great. Tim Riggs, thank you for the $10. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for the sentiment. Best time is now. Gary, you've had enough life stories to fill up a Tolkien-sized novel. Yeah, I've just told you a couple. But I'm 50, so I've lived a weird life. I told you I lived a weird life. Orville Nation for $5. Visiting Lucasfilm sites in Europe. Gary sent you a video from Planet Naboo site today on Twitter. Regards, PJ. I will check it out. Thanks, man. Thank you for the $5. Lucius Sula for $5. There was a story recently where a woman was attacked by a drugged out homeless man in San Francisco, released in 3 days. Be careful out there. Yeah, no, I don't spend a lot of time out there, and I definitely tell Mrs. Nerdrotic to be careful. And my son, the one crappy thing about this city is like my son can't do what I did. Like I used to run out and play in the middle of well, it's Southern California, so you can't say country. It's fields. It's semi-desert down there. It's like a Mediterranean desert. But yeah, I used to go running around and freaking by myself forever. I just had to be back by the time the streetlights came on. Thank you for the $5. Trek Dog for $10.99. Hi, Gary. Sorry, just came on. Any Orville news or update on the plans about the Orville Con? Thanks for sharing personal stories. They're inspiring. You're welcome. No update yet because I haven't really looked, but if somebody is on the, I think there's a couple people I can talk to about that. Orville news is it's moving to Hulu. And that's all I know right now. I got to talk to Tom Constantino. I haven't talked to him in a couple weeks. I got to reach out to him. There's been a lot of stuff. I'm petting my dog, by the way. And I've had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that have been kind of distracting and keeping me from doing a lot of work stuff. But, and I don't know if that'll ever clear up, but I need to talk to Tom so we can get some Orville news out there. But it's moving to Hulu, and it's all good. I know, Scott Grimes and Adrian Pilecki got divorced, and that's all I know. And I had a really good time at the Orville experience. Eric K. looked it up. Abdul Kamar was the first Arabian Night, was a descendant of a legendary Muslim hero who had perished forcing the demons Gog and Magog back to their tombs. So more than likely Muslim. Eric K., great work. Great work. Classic Comics and Eric K. were on the job. Kamala Khan is not Marvel's first Muslim superhero. Spread the word. It's Arabian Night. But I mean, listen, if you believe the media, Captain Marvel was the first female superhero ever. And that was the first female starring in a film ever. And if you believe Black Panther's marketing, that was the first black superhero ever. Yeah. Paola RL, thank you, Gary, for sharing your experiences with us, for being able to tell the story and being the great person. Oh, wow. I don't know about that you are. I truly respect you. Thank you, Paola. I'm okay. I do my best. Lori Wilson, I did have 6 seconds with Shatner at Comic-Con on Saturday, told him about doing an Orville cameo. He said Orville. So I tweeted, he said Orville. So I tweeted him too. Good. If he said Orville, then he knows it exists. Tom Constantino, get William Shatner on your show. Seth MacFarlane, I know you listen to every episode and you hang on my every word because you're not busy making billions of dollars for Disney and Fox. Get William Shatner on the Orville. Make it happen. I think like just a little scene. Just a little scene. Make him you know what? Troll everybody. Put him in a bunch of makeup and make him a krill. Today on Scared Straight, meet Gary Beekler. Crackling. I'll wait till I tell stories from the inside. That's some shit. Some shit went down, yo. Mephisto Knight for £1.99. I'm in Tenby, Wales. When can we visit you live? Well, when I get to the UK, which could be sooner than later. Because I fracking love the UK. The UK is the best. Okay, we're gonna get Maris back on camera. There she is. She's such a she's really freaking cute. Yeah. Say hi. You can hear the other dogs outside. All right, I'm gonna let her out. Hang on just a second. Go see mom. Go. Oh, mom's home. All right. Everybody, wow, this turned into like the craziest live stream ever, didn't it? I did not plan on babbling this long. So I'm going to move this to Nerdrotic Live when it's done for algorithmic reasons. Let me make sure I've got all the super chats rounded up too. Hang on just a second. Live events. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We had a good crowd. I didn't promote this or anything. And you guys are wonderful. So be sure to check out the Inquisition if you haven't. Last night's Inquisition was a hell of a show. That was Doomcock was on freaking fire. So I shot him a message this morning like, dude, you were so on last night. It was great. And we had a huge crowd. So I'm very grateful for that. Thanks for D23 being the fart that it was. But Jesus Christ, that was such a good show last night. Some people just know how to live stream, dude. Oh, Mike S. Miller. What's up, dude? $5. Happy belated birthday, Gary. Here's $5. It's my birthday today. Is it your birthday today? How old are you, Mike? Are you like 29? I mean, I know you got 17 kids, but you might have started early. You're kind of religious. You know how you religious people are. Mahler, Gary, are you excited for hundreds of Star Destroyers? You pitiful OT fans thought one was intimidating. Well, JJ's going to crank it up, which means it'll be better, right? Dude, Mahler, yes, because what's better than one Star Destroyer? 1,000. Duh. I mean, and let's forget about them flying in formation. Let's forget about gravity and mass and I mean, like, it doesn't matter because it's Star Wars and it's J.J. Abrams. And they can all land on the ground, but that wasn't J.J. Abrams' fault. We got to admit that. That was so. Yeah, I heard you did a mini EFAP, Mahler. I've got to see that. Thank you for the 10 pounds. What are you doing? And you, Mike S. Miller. You guys, thank you so much. Dr. Coffin for $2. Opinion of droid in Mandalorian trailer, not IG-88. That was the one thing I kind of like. I don't think it was IG-88 though, but it might have been like the same class of droid. That was like the one thing I liked. But dude, Rise of Skywalker is going to be, is it going to be as bad as Last Jedi? I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah. Babylon 5 versus DS9. Which one do you prefer? Asked Brian Lebendowski. You're trying to get me in trouble with that question. I prefer Deep Space Nine because I'm a Star Trek fan, but before anybody stop, Babylon 5 fans, stop, hold on, hold the phone. I haven't watched the entire series yet. It was on at a time I wasn't watching a ton of TV. So when I watched the whole series, ask me that question again. Because I've just seen more of DS9 than Babylon 5. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I love Michael J. Straczynski, except for his terrible work on that Netflix series, not the Lebowski, the Wachowskis did. Does Rey's red saber mean she turns dark side? Asked Robs. God, I hope so. It'd be something interesting about her. For $2.99. Thanks. Modalicious, $5. Can't tell if you missed my super chat. No, I'm doing Matt order Modalicious. And I have to go back and get bionic belly buttons too. Star Wars originally was father-son story dealing with abuse and neglect. Not woke enough for Disney, I guess. Yeah, I read that one. Tim Riggs, SJWs and Cinema TV Comics, at least I think I did Modalicious. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. For $5. Tim Riggs for $10. SJWs and Cinema TV Comics, the only things they have to do for the rest of their lives is leech. They will never create something truly new that the public will love. We should remind them of that repeatedly. Yes. Yeah. For anybody who, listen, you're free to question what you like. You're free to say what you like. I don't mean like say you don't have a right to say anything, but just to remind you, yes, we do need to repeat things on YouTube because you can't assume. I fall under the camp of somebody's watching this for the first time. So I can't just assume that you're like updated on all the Nerdrotic lore, So thank you, Tim Riggs, for the 10. That's a great point. Mephisto Knight for £1.99. I already read this one. So am I somewhat caught up? All right. Unhinged Crank for $2. Ray's theme at the end of the trailer. Yes, it was. Was it her theme? I don't know. I've already tried to block it out of my mind as much as I can, even though I did do a review on it. Andrew Tickner for $4.99. Well, Han did say it would take 1,000 Star Destroyers to blow up a planet. Well, you're right. You're right. And you know what? That's what they love to do. They like to take throwaway lines and make everything literal. The Grand Inquisitor for $5. Hail, Gary. Today is my birthday. I can't wait to go see The Rise of Skywalker. Hail, Phantom Menace. Screw Disney Star Wars. I can't wait to not go see. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I can't wait to not go see The Rise of Skywalker. Hail the Phantom Menace. Screw Disney Star Wars. Hail the Grand Inquisitor, who has been with this channel for a long time. and been a member of the Fandom Menace from the get-go. So well played, sir. Thank you for the $5. It's good to see Mahler in here. I love Mahler and Mike S. Miller. Two great guys. I can't wait. You know what? I am looking for Rise of Skywalker because we're going to get an unbridled Mahler rage out of it. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Mahler must be just incredibly peaceful. I kind of like see Mahler as Henry Rollins. So Henry Rollins was like this maniac. He's lead singer of Black Flag and did his solo stuff. He was a maniac on stage, but off stage, he was kind of calm and reserved because he got it all out on the stage. Well, I mean, he wasn't that calm. He's still kind of manic, but he was calmer. I think Mahler's like that too. I think Mahler's just like always got the peaceful, easy feeling right after he does one of his videos. Yeah. That's how I got it in my mind. Wearing, he's got his smoking jacket on, even though he doesn't smoke, and his gas mask. In his comfy chair, reading, being British, those British people read books. And Mike S. Miller is just chasing around his 25 kids. He had 7 more kids since we last talked. Religious people. Just kidding, Mike. Everybody, thank you for the, I have one more to make up though. Hang on. I got to find bionic belly buttons that I missed from last night. Supposedly. Let's find that one. Where'd it go? I know we read one. Holy crap, that was a lot. Thank you for all the super chats last night and today, by the way. Thank you very, very, very much. Where is bionic belly button? Bionic belly button. I know you sent one last night. I saw it. Where'd it go? Well, here, we'll just cheat. There it is. Mike, I read that one. We ended up reading it. Brother Malachi, but I'll read it again since we waited this long. My kids were disappointed that I won't be getting Disney Plus until I explain the names that they have been called as future men. Love the new wall. Hail the return of DC's Avatar, which we saw DC got an Avatar on StreamYard. So next live stream is going to look all nice and pretty and polished. And we are going to end this. Oh, I just saw Mahler again. What? Vader has a breath at the end of the trailer. Makes me sad. I did catch that. And I think they just threw that in there because it was a big montage of the other stuff in the legacy. He's like going to be part of the legacy. The whole thing made me sad, honestly. It reminded me of what we lost, but a long time ago. I mean, the minute Disney put their paws on this thing, it was done. And boy, was I wrong. I thought they would be the perfect, shepherds or stewards of Star Wars. The thing is, Star Wars, George Lucas lost Star Wars too. I mean, let's not, we love George, but I'll direct you to a Robert Meyer Burnett live stream from earlier today. The first 90 minutes, he breaks down word for word. I agree with him. What's wrong with Star Wars? Forget the modern agenda and the politics that's in it. What's wrong with the storytelling and the aesthetic it lost it in Return of the Jedi. Let's be real. I mean, Return of the Jedi is half a good movie. It's half a damn good movie. And it's half not a good movie. I don't like the Jabba scenes. I don't like Sly Snoodles. I don't like the Ewoks. I didn't like them then. But I love the scenes between the Palpatine and Vader and Luke. Those are beautiful. The music is beautiful. And it feels like a different film, to be honest with you. And honestly, Harrison Ford's performance is pathetic in that movie. It's bad. It's like he goes from being the coolest person in the world to he's horrible in that movie. You got to be real. I'm sorry. He actually does a better acting job in The Force Awakens which kills me to say that. But I still like Return of the Jedi, but it is a very flawed movie. And I mean, listen, I'll give it this. At least George fixed the Nub Nub song at the end and replaced it, because I hated that song too. Yeah, it would it would have been better with the Wookiees and stuff. But honestly, yeah, Star Wars lost the plot back then. What made it special is George had a lot of people around him kind of containing him, and then he systematically got rid of those people towards the end. Gary Kurtz, his wife, Marsha Lucas, a lot of other people that were key. Gary Kurtz was instrumental in making Star Wars great. So, and people have gone over that quite a bit. There was also other factors, like they had, Lee Brackett wrote a bit of that script for The Empire Strikes Back. She died long before it came out, but she's got her influence in that film. A lot of people don't even know who Lee Brackett is. She was a very old screenwriter who passed away before the film came out. And they also lost John Dykstra from Star Wars. He wanted more money, and I think people got pissed because he went off and did some of the effects for, I think, Battlestar, and Dykstra was great, but he got replaced by better people. Dennis Muren, I think his name is. God, I used to know Michael Kahn. I used to know everybody's name on the crew, like off the top of my head. I used to know who the special effects supervisors were, who the freaking key grip was. I mean, me and my friend Doug would memorize that shit. It was like a rock band for us. Yeah. All right. So let me make sure we got this all wrapped up. I've been babbling for long enough, and my Mrs. Nerdrotic is home. Mega Jetty for $2. Han in Return of the Jedi took a step back to let Luke shine. He didn't need to, though, because there were two very different characters, and Luke was becoming more stoic, and Han was supposed to be the personality. He was the swagger. And he was the thing that was missing in the prequels too. The Clone Wars expanded on Star Wars in the only way I truly appreciated. The final season was amazing. Tim Riggs' Clone Wars was great. And actually, that's all we ever needed. It was so much better in the prequels. The Clone Wars are so much better in the prequels. And they give Anakin so much more depth of character. They do. So I'm very grateful for the Clone Wars cartoon. I saw the Clone Wars when it premiered in theaters. I wasn't impressed, but I kept watching it, and it got better. It just got better. So there you go. Hey Gary, people in Hollywood do compromise their creativity for a paid off mortgage, and Ray only has one facial expression. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Listen, and I agree with that, Sam Whiskey. You got to play the game before you change the rules. That's something I fully live by, and which means compromising your creativity for a while. But if you can compromise, if you can do a good job, because listen, you're not compromising your creativity if you're hired by somebody else to help them make their project. It's not really my creativity. If I'm on somebody else's project, then, I lend my creative whatever to this person's ultimate creative vision. It's when you write a story and then you have to compromise and stuff, and that has to be made, but that sucks. That's why I never made it there, Sam. I wasn't built for Hollywood. There's people who are built, who can do it, who can bullshit their way through that stuff and play the game. And I was not one of them. Partially because, of what I shared before. So when somebody stabs you in the back, like metaphorically speaking, like there's ways to deal with that. They're very different in Hollywood than the ways I used to deal with that when I was younger. I used to have a very confrontational approach to that. And it doesn't work in the real world. It doesn't. All right, everybody, I want you all to have a great day. Again, this live stream will be over on Nerdrotic Live. It's going to take a little longer because I'm going to include the chat, which means I'm going to have to screen record this, but I want to do that because we have people like the Cinema Queen and History General and Mahler and Blacklist Universe. Hamill was best in Corvette Summer. I liked Corvette Summer. I did like that movie. I thought it was very good. And that was probably his best acting job. You're probably right, Mike S. Miller. But no, he did. He was, listen, love Mark Hamill. I do. Mahler was in here. Man of Action. God damn. Look at this guy right here. See this guy? I remember interacting with Man of Action in England Teens chat when I had 100 subscribers, maybe. Man of Action's had the same damn G.I. Joe avatar and a good person. Good person. What's up, Jedi Knight? A friend of Alita. Mike, angry at Mike. People are angry at Mike. Mike, stop being a troll. By the way, best to your kids, by the way, best to your family. And thanks again for the page, dude. That page was brilliant. All right, so I'm gonna cut it there. Everybody subscribe to Mike S. Miller, subscribe to Mahler, Mega Jetty 1. Anybody other channels? Cinema Queen, the Cinema Queen, Dave Cullen, anybody in the Fandom Menace, please subscribe to it's a small YouTube channel called Geeks and Gamers. It's got an up and coming guy named Jeremy. He's new, he's a little boisterous. He never takes off his hat, even when he takes a shower. That's what I heard. But you might want to give him a sub because he needs your help. He needs your help. And don't forget to pet your doggo. Pet your doggo. Give him a little pet. Even if it's your best friend, you call him dog, like DAWG, give him a little pet in the head. Mark Lazerth, nub to you, man. Nub to you. Return of the Jedi is greater than TESB. What's TESB? The Empire Strikes Back? Grimy? No. It's good. But The Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made, in my opinion. But if you have that opinion, that's your opinion. And we will just agree to disagree. It's okay. We can all agree that The Last Jedi sucked. I think we can all agree on that. All right. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time for the next Nerdrotic Nooner. Please subscribe to Nerdrotic Live. That's where this one's going to be. Please subscribe here if you haven't already. Go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. And remember, not all who wander are lost.